Thank you so much for communicating and collaborating with me, because it's not easy to do this kind of stuff. People make it a lot easier than it is. But just to get started, I don't want to keep you too long. I just wanted to give you context for our conversation. I love to talk to founders and talk to different kinds of people about their businesses and about how they got to their business. But one of the big things that I see is missing from those conversations is like people's feelings. What about the path to the business? Like, how do you get there? So I wanted to just hear your story and see what comes of it, hopefully to inspire other people. How's that?
That sounds great. I want to say something right off the top. I love that you have the insight to go there, because there's a common belief out there that I'm going to sacrifice and I'm going to take myself through hell to get to this great position or this great status. And then at that point, I would find happiness and go out. They think they're going to go off on the sunset in this beautiful life. And that is a serious misconception. The same energy that you use to create something is the same energy that's going to be in it. So if it's hellish every day you go to work, there's no beauty in what you do.
Right.
So I just want to, that myth needs to be dispelled, especially in communities of color, because we go hard. And we're trying to make up for, being behind 200 or 300 years or whatever. And so it's don't fall for it. It's like the same. If there's not love in what you're doing, there's also not going to be beauty and amazingness in what you do.
Yeah. So thank you for framing the conversation, pushing for it to go there.
Thank you. Thank you for agreeing to join. So can you please, just to get started, give us a little bit of context? Can you describe how you met, what led up to this great union that we see right now on the screen? Can you give us a little bit of context? Can we go back or rewind?
Right.
Please.
Well, we met. Both of us had friends that wanted to go out on a Memorial Day, and neither of us were really club people. And her friend dragged her out. My friend dragged me out, and I saw her in the crowd, and we never looked back. I just never was a club person, but we're in there, and both of us were dressed like we didn't want to be there either. We were in Jay-Z's 40/40 Club, and everybody was dressed to the nines, and both of us were dressed down. And we stood out because we were dressed down. I saw her, she saw me, and
yeah. And we're not originally from New York, I'm from New Orleans. Cullen is from Virginia. So when people want to visit New York, we do whatever they want. And in this particular weekend, I was hosting and someone wanted to go to 40/40 Club, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do whatever they're visiting right now. So I'm in 40/40, really enjoying it, minding my business. Didn't know Cullen noticed me. I'm enjoying it. I think the playoffs were on at the time, so the big screen is nice. And he came over to where me and this person were. And I was like, okay, look at him. He's cute coming over. And then he just got up and left. What's going on here? And later, her and I was just talking about she had other people come and meet her at the club. She just met at the club. So when other people that I just caught his attention from across the club and gave him like I remember you. And he saw me from across the way and and that whole nod really opened up the, hey, I see you, you see me. And he came over and asked if I wanted to dance. And we tried to talk on the dance floor, and it was like, it's too loud, so we stepped outside, and we talked outside for, I think, about an hour and a half, and had to remember that we came to the club with other people.
Wow. What kind of club? I didn't know what you meant by 40/40 Club. My apologies. When you originally said it.
Sorry, yeah, Jay-Z has a line of 40/40 clubs, and one of them is here in New York City. Original. Yeah.
Got it. That's very interesting. So what's the kind of music? What kind of music was playing? It's Jay-Z. So is it like Jay-Z's music?
Hip-hop.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of his stuff was on a loop. Like,
but it was a great mix too, because like I said, I'm not a big, but the huge screen had the game on, I'm like watching the game, people dancing, clubbing, you could really hang out at the bar. It was a mix of everything.
Something for everybody.
It was a perfect mix.
Got it. So you're
sports fans.
say that again. I'm sorry.
We're both sports fans, and we were like, it was kind of a win-win for us, and we were able to see the game. We were like invested in seeing who won the NBA playoffs, so that was on.
Got it. So 4040 Club, sports bar / nightclub associated with Jay-Z. They're playing all kinds of music and sports at the same time. That's chaotic.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a full club.
Yeah.
So how did y'all manage to see each other across the room? All this chaos. How did y'all get there? That was really like soulmate or something. Okay.
Exactly. And I must name that too, like I shared, I had to really be intentional and push out from the crowd, and pay where's that person. Like nonverbals are so important, because if he took the first step to come over to check me out and I don't return that energy, then that's a miss. But I was very intentional about, I saw him, you feel the energy, and I like him, and I like what I see. So I had to return the energy, and so I had to just do that from across the club. I'll come back over, and it works.
So you met, and then there was like a dating, y'all courted, or did you move in immediately?
We dated, but this story took a crazy turn. Because we in WhenLoveWorks, we teach people to date and then court. Like, dating is a 4 to 6 week period, and then court for a year. And
sometimes in courtship you have an engagement that you partner. Yeah, you partner. But that's what we teach.
Yes.
Our story showed up differently because we jumped from dating to
Oh, I thought there was like a surprise. I thought there was something like dating to surprise. I thought y'all had sound effects and everything. Wow.
Right, and this story is, we teach it totally different. Thank you, baby. Come on, baby. We teach it totally different. Dating is definitely a short exploratory period, getting to know people for a very short time. It's not no obligations. It's not even a relationship. And in courtship, it's a relationship. But for us, we were dating. I was divorced, Cullen divorced, but I was like, my divorce was a little bit more recent, and I had children that I was putting in school in New Orleans, and then Hurricane Katrina was like, well, actually, you gonna bring those children back up here, and y'all gonna turn into a courtship type of thing, because Hurricane Katrina happened. I was down there when it happened. I was putting my children in school, so I could come back up here, finish the program, finish work. And Cullen and I were dating at the time, and when Hurricane Katrina happened, I was just going there to get them settled and coming right back. And because I had gotten caught in when the storm started, Cullen, when I talked to him, when I finally got a chance to talk to him, he was like, so when y'all coming? I was like, oh, it had shifted. Right. It was just like, everything is out the window. You and I are truly connected, and I can't see this being, y'all need to get the same thing. And he said, y'all. So like, okay.
Plural. That's very interesting. That is very interesting. And I never knew there were like rules, hard and fast rules about dating and about courting and things of that nature. To talk about that period in your relationship, the mental part of it, of starting to like from the attraction, the physical attraction, to now we're starting to focus mentally on each other. Can you describe any mistakes that you made or during that time early on in your relationship, that or a time in which your partner expressed to you that you did not live up to their expectations? How did you approach that?
Just to frame it a little differently, we came together. I was in a different space in my life than she was, and I had already is the one. This is a whole different narrative. Like I'm going to take the time to really vet this person, get to know who they are. And like I said, Katrina had different plans, but we still carried out the same. I carried out the same vetting process, but we were just under the same roof, and that was cumbersome. Like we had to and then all of a sudden there were 3 other beings in the house as well. So we were trying to still get to know each other. The kids made it the difficult. So she grew up in a different background. I grew up in a different background. And to make it long story short, we both now had to find out how we were going to not battle each other, but come together and merge, like companies do like all the time. That we merge, and that's what we did. We merged. It wasn't as smooth as I'm making it sound right here, but we did merge, and we got to the place where we understood that we became dependent on our creativity to come up with a better one. And so instead of it being my way or her way, there was a better one that served both of us. And relationships are about service at their core.
Yeah.
So we changed the way we operated and served, and still held on to who we are, as individuals.
And so one of the most common ones that came up like almost immediately, because we had this quick merging happening, was like just the communication. Like even the communication is the first C, but communication was the first critical C when we merged. We merged under duress. We were still getting to know one another, but communication was key. And one of the things that I found out really quickly is the way I communicated when I was under pressure, stress, or whatever, had a tone to it that wasn't pleasing, that was disrespectful sometimes, even like borderline. So Cullen had to really early on, hey, we're going to rethink now. And so this type of communication is not healthy for us. And
because think about it, the way she communicated was going to now affect everything that we did. Because communication is the only way that we're going to interact with each other and see change and growth and develop.
Yeah.
So if that's grinding every time I deal with her, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, so that was the first one that, again, we nailed off the top. Was like how we communicate is going to have to be a collaborative process. We're going to have to get up in here and customize it. You came from one background, I came from another, but we have to know it's all about healthy relationship. Because there are couples together, unfortunately, that are just together. It may not be healthy communication. It may be a lot of conflict, and it's all I'm sure is a lot of just because companionship. And we want to do things differently. We both have been married before, and like Cullen named at the onset, the next relationship I'm in is going to be healthy. And I was on that same journey too. I was like, the next relationship is going to be a healthy one because I deserve love. And so our story is really what is the foundation of WhenLoveWorks. We were the first clients. And so anybody that's working with us, yes, they're going to get that same little that work around the dating process, but the courtship process that happens after you've chosen, the first C is communication. When those two people merge together, you're not losing individual, but you do have to come up with how you two want to create and how y'all communicate for a healthy culture. Because it's a closed ecosystem now. So that was one, to answer your question, that was definitely one of the earliest mistakes that we had to navigate, and so come up with a healthy.
Right. And it seems like you made a decision because you said you were under duress, but essentially you made a decision. And I think that's a huge part of it, is that you both came together to say yes. But before I don't think you were married at that point, were you?
No.
Right.
We recorded, and we had to just how are we going to communicate? How are we going to navigate conflict? And how are we going to nurture this companionship?
Right.
And that's the same thing we teach in our couple series, because that's the real work of relationships. And when you're coming together, those 3 C's are when you have to come up with a collaborative and be very creative. Otherwise, it won't be healthy.
And I just want to say something. I'm not trying to correct you or anything, but I don't like to think of what we introduced as rules. They're more like best practices, because a lot of people come into these scenarios and there's no commonality. And commonality is what helps things work. You're trying to build together, and it's you cooperating. It's like a cooperation, more or less. You're coming together, and if you don't have common ground, there's going to be a lot of issues and a lot of problems. I can break it down for you, because there are people who have different ideas and definitions of what dating and courtship are. And that's fine. We're not Nazis about what stuff means and what this means. But I tell you one thing: whoever you're dating, before you start dating them, you better make sure that you think what you call dating,
right,
or what you call courtship, and everything in between.
And not to make it like a rule, but more so about making sure that you understand internally what is going on and then expressing that in a methodical way. But before you get there, sometimes being aware of that, the need to make a decision like that requires self-awareness too. But it implies that you need to be together internally before you even come out into the world and start wanting to date and court and marry people. How has self-awareness allowed you to prioritize how you focus your attention in your relationship? And then how does that spill over into your business?
Yeah, self-awareness is key. And one of the things that I was, Cullen had already been on his journey of self-awareness and being very intentional, making healthy choices. And I was on the same journey, which is, going about life. And then when we met one another, that self-awareness that we individually had, we maintained that same practice. I had therapy, I'm doing my work on unpacking toxic behaviors that no longer serve me, definitely wasn't going to serve us in a healthy way, naming dysfunction, naming tradition and habit and how that has set in my relationship profile and really unpacking it. But that awareness didn't stop just because we got into a relationship. It had to be ongoing. And like one of our foundational definitions is relationships are mirrors. And so Cullen always is there to give me feedback on how I'm showing up. Am I being self-aware of, how I'm talking, how I'm navigating conflict, how I'm nurturing our companionship? If I can't see how I show up, then I would think I'm doing a great job all the time. It would give us the same type of feedback because they're mirrors. And so self-awareness is key, but it can't be a one and done. Because everyone deserves love. It's not like people have to get ready to be in a relationship, but you do have to be self-aware of how you show up. And then the work is really tearing away some things that are unhealthy, not serving, and that are blocking you from merging with someone else, and that's what you truly desire.
Because you're there to serve, and everybody's not going to want what you have on the menu. So it's some stuff on the menu that's going to go unordered, and so it's good to still have it there for your family members and friends and stuff like that. But your partner may never choose that particular thing off the menu.
And that is very true. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Self-awareness has definitely served us in order to navigate when conflict comes up in our relationship and in business. The same thing happens, we're co-founders of WhenLoveWorks, who are our first clients, but we are another thing we're intentional about too is that we're not saying we know the way that's best for you. Like, we are not arrogant saying because we've done it, we're going to give you the book to do it the way. Here's having a great set of tools that no matter your situation, you can apply the tools to. Right. That's what we say off the bat. We're aware. That's that self-awareness. And in our business, we're aware that we don't know as much about you as you know about you. You've forgotten more stuff than we know about you. And same thing with our clients. Our clients, they're geniuses on them. So give you some tools and you can rework some stuff and see heights that you've never seen before. I didn't contribute to your genius. I just aided. The tool aided in that, and that's, we always bring ourselves back to that. We ain't changing nothing. These people are already beautiful and amazing as they are, work as they work.
And you mentioned earlier some toxic behaviors that you had to let go. Do you have any examples of what you let go specifically to help smooth things in the communication arena?
Yeah. My wife, see, I gotta tell, if I'm gonna tell this, I gotta tell it.
Go ahead, by all means, please.
Yeah, I grew up a love marriage, and my wife didn't. She grew up metaphorically on the other side of the tracks. I grew up on this side of the track in terms of love. And I knew at some point I had to recognize that you can't be on, like, here's another metaphor in case you ain't had enough. I can't be on the float. I can't be up on the float doing this to everybody and then down there and talking about people bad. The same people that's lifting me up, I can't get off the float and now disparage the people that showed me respect and elevated me to that space. And metaphor is not completely beautiful, it works all the way, but it works enough. When I came into the relationship, I knew that I was in a better space. I knew that due to nothing of my own, I was born into a family that I didn't experience a whole lot of dysfunction. I was surrounded by a ton of love. And it wasn't until I started dating that I saw that not everybody had the same. We grew up thinking everybody has pretty much a similar reality to ours at home. Until we started dating, going home with friends and stuff like that, and then we started seeing, that's a little different. I never seen that before. And so when I met my wife, she had a book that she was written. I knew where she was from. When I finished reading her autobiography, I cried because anybody who had gone through, if I had gone through that, I would have been a better person. I really would. I would have been a better person, and I'm not sure I would have bounced back. My wife not only wasn't bitter, but she bounced back from it, and she was keeping pace with me. Somebody who had grown up with all the advantages in terms of love. And that's why I call her my hero. And she trusted me to take her to a place that she'd never seen before. Like I told her, I asked her to trust me. I'm gonna take us and our relationship to a whole nother place. And none of this is personal. But you gotta trust me because I don't care how much I love you, I cannot bear down in dysfunction. So asking me to bear down in dysfunction is a kill shot for both of us. So you can't take this person, blah, blah, blah. So it wasn't easy. The norm for her was like some really harsh violence and some harsh language sometimes because she was frustrated. And I was frustrated. So because the two worlds were trying to come together and converge. And then one day I woke up and said, I can't do it. I can't keep doing this to her. I knew what I was getting into. I have to give her an opportunity. I got to give her space to be and grow. And I'm telling you, that was all she needed. And we started to work through our problems and differences. And we were able to talk about it. I was able to communicate my frustration with her with the unarmed truth. No emotion and not bringing, because you're pissed. So I'm like, I was able to talk to her with the unarmed truth and just tell her how what she did was problematic.
A dysfunctional practice that I had, with the negative body language, and another thing that we teach our like 4 stages to abuse and abuse, emotional abuse versus verbal abuse isn't something that just happens because we wrote it along the way. Yeah. And I was guilty of, the dismissive, nonverbal body language is the first step. So Cullen had to call me on that and be a mirror and be like, it's right there. There it is right there. And so that was a behavior that was the norm in my family, in my upbringing. But that's not a part of healthy relationship practice. So that's just one example of a toxic behavior that, if you're in a close relationship trying to make a healthy relationship, that has to go. And again, that self-awareness piece, Cullen had to get to the place where he was like, okay, I'm not going to say, okay, you're doing this intentionally to me. Wait, first I have to make you aware that you're doing it, so I'm aware for you. And then 2, once I know, I can make the choice. Either I can maintain this negative behavior and it's going to damage our relationship, ecosystem and our relationship health, or I can literally do something about it. And I was actively making the choice all the time because before I met him, I was already on the journey of I'm doing this whole healthy in every way type journey. And so the 2 kept working out no matter what the issue was, whether it was me showing him stuff or him showing me something. We both were very intentional about we want to work towards healthy for both of us.
Good. Wow. Yeah. And that seems like it takes a lot of perseverance and a lot of talking, a lot of hugging and stuff like that. Yeah. And to continue on with the verbal communication, I think that's a huge part of building a strong relationship, a healthy relationship. And sometimes working can be so demanding for relationships. But it appears that you two seem to be, pretty healthy and pretty methodical about how you approach your relationship despite work. So what techniques do you use specifically when responding to your partner's wishes or concerns, positive or negative?
That is an absolutely incredible question. Thank you for that. And it's a great setup because what I have to share with you is with us, the way, how we tripped up out of the gate is with the ego. Like we both had to get out of the way of our ego. Like my wife, there are times when she felt like being wrong undermined who she was as a human being, and then same thing with me. I felt like me being wrong. First of all, let me back up a little bit. In intimate relationships, the reason why people argue so hard is because they matter to each other. When it does, I'm not trying to make an excuse for arguing, but what I'm saying, when it does happen, let's say you may argue once a year or whatever, and until you got to that place of maturation where you have accounted for the ego, I don't care if it's once a year, twice a year, whatever the case may be, because you matter to each other. And nobody wants to be perceived as being lesser than to the person that means the most to them. So it's like being wrong is almost tantamount to death if you don't accept, if you don't account for the ego. Now, the ego fools people into thinking that relationships are accomplishment based. So for us, we're no different. We started when there was a failure or something didn't turn out right, and then your partner called you out about it or asked you about it or something like that. Each other so well that question wasn't really a question; it was an implication, and so it turned into an argument. And so we had to back up to where we recognize, look, this is working with anybody is it requires you learning how they work and stuff like that. But working with your partner is on a whole nother level because of all of the emotional involvement, all of the history you have with each other, and the fact that you want to do your best with that person. So with us, we had to back up and say, we're not going to let this be weaponized against us. We love each other, not going to let this be weaponized against each other. I know who you are, you know who I am. I'm not trying to say this was easy, but this was something that we both had to hammer down into us. And I can tell you that it was that way until it wasn't. Yeah. We got to the place where it was like when mistakes happen and stuff like that, the steam became less and less. So where now it's not just when something happens, it's like when let's say green gas is coming in the room, both of us are rushing just to figure out what that gas is and get it stopped. Nobody's doing this anymore.
Yeah, point the finger.
You don't have that luxury.
Yeah. Right. Working together is important. So we definitely did exactly what Cullen said. The first thing was to step back, take our own individual pauses, because business doesn't stop. We're not going to get a divorce when stuff goes wrong in a business or a person. Like, that's not everything blows up because this thing happens. So first step is to always take a step back, whether it means you need to take a walk, take a breath, pause. And then to account for your ego. Am I showing up as if this needs to be my way and I'm not trying to hear any other thoughts? And again, working together, it has to be collaborative. Even though I have the role as a CEO, Cullen is a creative mind. Like it has to come into a visual, it has to come out visually and in a certain way. So we have to collaborate. So if I'm in my ego, I can be like, it's my way or a highway, and it'll be very ugly. You know, like everything we do would not be as aesthetically pleasing as people have always committed us for. And then 3, literally saying, okay, naming that this is the thing, but it's that thing. It's us against that. Business will still continue to go on and we'll still be a healthy couple because that's just something that we have to attend to. So first, again, taking that pause. 2, making sure it's not us and our ego and we feel like our feelings hurt. And then 3, saying, okay, now how are we going to navigate this thing, whether it's for the business or a personal life, because we don't just stop. Like if it's a client, we have to fire or a new invoice or whatever it is, we have to say, okay, this is not who forgot to pay this, or it can't be a battle against us. It's us 2 coming together and the rest of our team coming together for how do we navigate this. And so the ego is one of the biggest things that trip people up that work together in business, but there are ways. Like the first step is to just think about, take a step back, you know your partner. When you are already thinking about your ego, the thing that helps me, I'll speak for me, and one of the things that we also help our working couples too is, wait, what do you know about your partner? What do you know to be true about your partner? And that sort of helps get out of the ego and then reset your thoughts. You're not blaming this person. You're not attributing all these negative characteristics to them because you know them at their core. And if you do that sort of self-check-in, you won't say half the things that you do.
That is very true. Yeah, and it seems like it's a journey, and you have to go with the flow and do all of those things. And sometimes you have to get a consultation to like kind of maybe some couples therapy, some advice. So you have your own firm or your own agency or consultation service. Can you give me a little bit of context for WhenLoveWorks Dynamically Incorporated? Is it like a whole thing?
Yeah, that is bigger than us and how we serve the world. And so we are literally giving people the tools to disrupt the status quo of unhealthy relationships. And I always start with my story and our story because I had normalized dysfunction. And so many other people do the same thing. They think that that's healthy. And so because we're setting out to disrupt unhealthy relationships, specifically in marginalized communities like our Black community, we are starting there. And so we have coaching that we offer before people really sign up for 4 weeks. We're a good match. But our consultation, we give people a session so they can get some tools so they're pressing problem there in the moment. Because again, we don't claim to have all the answers, but we do.
You make them date for a few weeks, yeah.
And we have coaching, we have the series, we have the dating series, the couple series, people that navigate the dating series. Dating is the most important part of the relationship journey anyway. So dating for us in that short period, not really waste time, but have fun. And we also work with couples in a couple series, looking at every 4 to 8 weeks. A lot of people come to us that are already connected. Some people come to us before they go into lifetime partnerships. Some people come and be like, we've been together for 30, 40 years, and it's just like, look like we just passing time. And so again, they come to us for those tools to really get the relationship they deserve. And we also have retreats. We have international retreats with couples. We have an app so that people can have the most app in their pocket and have their little check-in with themselves. Like we talked about how to get those thoughts out and have their profile on hand. We have that in the app. And with the app, people could always text the coaches all the time because we don't want people in any relationship. And we also have podcasts. Season 1, 2, 3 is already out of the podcast. And then we have a book that's coming up February 1st.
Wow. So where can we consume this content? Because there's a lot. There's a lot of content. What's your website?
Dynamically.com.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty easy to remember. Good. Cullen, you said you did creative? What kind of work do you do? What is your role?
I'm a full-time coach and creative director now. Most of my career I spent working in the ad agency as a designer. We're doing commercials, we're doing print ads, doing all kinds of stuff in New York City, basically Madison Avenue advertising.
Wow, good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that definitely works for the partnership, relationship, or intimate and business relationships. That's awesome. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me. Those are all the questions that I have at the moment. I'm sure we'll connect in the future. Hopefully we can speak again. Before I end, is there anything you would like to end with or conclude? No words at this time?
People to, again, make love work. Our goal is to disrupt the unhealthy relationships. We're really trying to have a whole planet full of love because people are having great.
Yeah, I do have something. I think first of all, don't be discouraged. There are 4,000 universities in the United States alone, and less than 1% of them have healthy relationship career. Go out and get the help you need, read the books you need. I don't care where you get it, but go out and get the help you need and go experience a relationship. Nothing in this world is more satisfying and more beautiful than having a love relationship. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And I'm not trying to corny or anything. I'm telling you, it's the most amazing thing you'll ever do in your life. It's the bravest thing you will have to do, but it always keeps giving back. It's an amazing investment that always keeps giving back to you. So I don't care. I don't care what you trust and believe. In order for you to see and experience something different, you got to believe something different, and it'll expand your world. And just go out and get it.
And it seems like there's really no time limit. Like, I know a lot of people, they feel rushed to get into something.
Yeah.
Is there any time limits or anything that people need to be aware of? Because you said there are really no rules.
There are.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Because whether you're married once or 3 times, if you never learn how to date and help you wait, you're going to keep staying the same. And so the dating series is the most important. And our oldest client was 64 because they just really wanted to get it right and have healthy relationships. And so that's the work. He said once they believe the tools, because we recognize, Cullen said, less than 1% of universities have this content. So where would we have learned this? We don't. We just usually trial and error, watching other people, letting our friends and family sort of give us advice.
Right.
Or from somebody else who got it from
And so, and we said enough already, and that's why WhenLoveWorks, again, was founded, and we just doing this work to just upset that condition of just.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm very happy for you both. And I wish you both the best in your relationship and in your business and all that kind of stuff. And if that's all, and if you don't have any questions for me, I just wanted to just thank you again for allowing me to hear your story and learn more about your business. And I hope you have a great day. But what are you going to do today for the night?
It's time to eat.
Fair enough. I feel it. Enjoy your dinner, and we will definitely keep in touch.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Nice to meet you.
Alrighty.